In the last video, we created a simple HTML form using Bootstrap. Till now, this form is a pure HTML CSS form having no relation with Angular. As stated in the previous couple of videos, Angular forms can be classified into two types, template and reactive forms. Link of the video is given at the top right corner. In this video, we will be transforming this form into Angular template form. First step for using template forms in Angular is to import its forms module. So, go to the module of this component and import forms module from @angular/forms. Now, as mentioned earlier, whatever be the type of the form, each form element is represented as an instance of form control class in Angular. In a template form, this instance is created by Angular itself. But how does Angular know for which form element it has to create an instance of form control? It is using a directive called ngModel. Apply ngModel over the form element whose value you want to send to the server or the element for which you want an instance of form control class to be created. So, let's apply this directive to name input element. Save. Go to the browser. Open the console. Press F12. Look, there is an error which says if ngModel is used within a form tag, either the name attribute must be set, which means that if you use ngModel over an element, you must also provide a name attribute for this element. This means that if we apply ngModel, then we need to provide a name attribute as well. So, name is equal to name. This is the key with which this element is bound in the form object. Save. Back to the browser. See, the error is gone. Now to demonstrate that this input box is actually an instance of form control class, we need a reference to this. For this, we can use a template reference variable. A template reference variable is created using hash. So, hash name. It is not necessary that the name of this variable matches anything here. You can name it anything such as hash reference. Assign this variable ngModel. With this syntax, we are creating a reference to this input element with its value as the object created by Angular. Bind a change event to this input box. Change event is a JavaScript concept not related to Angular. Supply this reference variable as argument. Now when the value of this input box will change, this function will be called. Let me format this for a better clarity. Let's create this function in TypeScript class. Here we simply print the value received. Save. Back to the browser. Write something here and press tab. Look what we got at the console. If you scroll down, here is the control key. Look what is written here, form control. So, Angular created an object of form control for this input field just by applying ngModel directive. Here are some properties related to this control. Scroll down. Look, here is a value property which contains the value of this control, which is the name what we typed in. Besides this, there are many other properties for this control. Most of the properties are in pairs and opposite to each other. If one is true, other will be false and vice versa. Examples: valid and invalid. These are used to check if this control passed the validations that are applied to it. Since there were no validations applied, this control is valid. So, valid will be true and invalid will be false. Likewise, dirty and pristine. If you change the value of a control, it becomes dirty. Since we typed in the input, dirty will be true. Pristine means that the control's value is the same as that at the page load time. Since it is not, it will be false. Similarly, we have touched and untouched. If you click on an element, it is considered as touched. So this property becomes true. Untouched is the opposite. Finally, the status property defines if the control is valid as per the validations or not. It can have two values, valid and invalid. If the value of valid property is true, status will be valid. If valid is false, status will be invalid. Let us check this. I will apply a validation that this field can contain only lowercase characters. So, back to the template. Apply the HTML pattern attribute as this pattern checks if only alphabets in lowercase are entered. Save. Back to the browser. Enter a capital letter. Tab. Expand this. Go to Control. Expand. Look. Status is invalid. And what do you think the value of valid property will be? It should be false. False it is. An invalid property should be true since the control does not pass the applied validation. In the next videos, we will be looking at form group, applying validations to template form, and how to submit this form in detail.